Hello, my name is Erin, and this is brought to you by the Abundant Yoga community. Today's video is all about triangle pose, or Trikonasana. I'll show different variations of Trikonasana, or triangle pose, and I'll discuss what the benefits are. We'll look at what specifically this pose targets in your body and how props can be used with triangle pose. So let's talk about the benefits first. In triangle pose, we are strengthening our body. Specifically, we're strengthening our legs, our ankles, and all around our core. We're also stretching our bodies. Specifically, we're strengthening through our hamstrings, the muscles on the back of our upper legs. We are stretching our hips and our spine. And we're improving balance through that combination of strengthening and stretching. So when we're improving balance, we're also, through those movements, improving our flexibility and ultimately our posture that will carry off the mat. Trikonasana can also aid in digestion with the pressure that the bend and the hip movement puts on our internal organs. Trikonasana is known to enhance focus and concentration, and because we're alleviating some tension on the low back, it can also help reduce or alleviate stress. All right, let's look at Trikonasana. So first, let's look at the pose, just a standard variation. So to my left-hand side, the pose looks like this. To my right-hand side, same thing, looks like this. So then how does that break down? First of all, we want a wide stance in our legs, but it's usually not quite as wide as, say, a lunge or a warrior stance. If I'm going to my left toes are going to point toward the top of my mat, and my right foot is going to come in at a diagonal. I'm going to line up my front heel with the arch of my back foot. Then I want my hips square to the side of the mat. So it can be pretty typical for people to be closing hips. So you really want to work at opening, and you can even take your hips, grab them, and tell them where to go. When you have your hips properly open, many people will feel that. If your hips are not properly open and you're kind of sinking into your back hip, it will feel lighter through your hip flexors, the muscles in front of your hips. So when we tilt appropriately and are open through here, we should, or many people who are a little bit tight, will feel a stretch here. Then in triangle pose, we lengthen our arms out. Be careful not to bring your shoulders up into your ears. We want to be long. So pull up through the top of your head, lengthen all the way through your spine, and lengthen through your fingertips. Shoulders are up, back, and down. Then we stretch toward the top of our mat, and as we do that, our hips move. So here, we want to be careful that our hips aren't moving and closing. We want to keep our hips moving back in line and staying open through the front. So we're going to reach as far as we can through our front hand, and when we can't reach anymore, then front hand comes down, top hand comes up. It's a big stretch here. We're going to feel, for most people, a deep stretch here in our inner thighs and around back to our hamstrings. And we should feel a long lengthening through our side. Now, one thing that can happen very easily is when we come forward, we start to come down. And we don't want to be there. We want to pull back so we're in line with our front foot as we come in. Let's take a look at the other side and talk about our side body. So again, I have feet wide. I'm going to my right side, so toes will be out, back toes in, and I'll tilt my hips, staying open, and stretch forward as far as I can. Now, it's perfectly appropriate to keep your back hand on your hip. There's no need to have it up. That's just an option. So when we come down, there is no need to have your hand on the mat either. I like to bring mine right to the inside of my shin. For a lot of people, what ends up happening is we stretch, stretch, stretch long, and then we round. So in triangle pose, we're making triangles all over our body. We have a triangle from the mat up our legs, and we want a triangle from our leg, our arm, and our side body. But when we curve, take a look at that shape. It's not a triangle. It looks more like an ice cream cone. Here's a triangle. Ice cream cone, triangle. I recommend doing this in front of a mirror so you can see if you're rounding and therefore not stretching your spine as much as you possibly could today. And then playing with this. Move your body like this. Get your hips moving and your ribs moving until this is straight. Now, for that to be straight, you might be higher up than you thought you would be, and that's perfectly okay. So let's look at a variation with a prop. So in triangle pose, I really enjoy bringing a block to the inside of my front ankle. So I'm stretching forward, keeping my hips open, lengthen, 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 and when I can't stretch any more to the front, then my hand comes down, arm comes up, or stays here. So if you bring your hand to the block, you want to make sure that your hand can be flat or in a fist if flat bothers your wrist. Here, stretch through your side body and make sure that you're not collapsing into the block. You really want to use your core to lift, so that block is simply a guide, but your body is what is keeping you up. For some people, if you're dealing with a lot of tightness or potentially an injury, don't ever be afraid to really go nuts with the blocks. So, for example, you could make your triangle a little bit shorter if that helps your body, and you could stack blocks. So here, go as far as you can, and then stack down. Hand up or hand down. Lastly, our head. That tends to be the last thing we think about. So when you're in triangle pose, in any variation of it, you want to use that upper shoulder, whether your arm is up or your hand is on your hip, to lift. So lift up so that here you're not collapsing. That's easy to do. So lift up out of that bottom shoulder and then decide what is best for your head. You can look up, but for some people that puts a little bit of strain on their neck that cannot feel great. So feel free to look straight ahead or look down. So your choice really in where your head goes, but pick a spot that works for you and then commit to it. So thank you so much for watching this video on triangle pose, Trikonasana. And this video was brought to you by the Abundant Yoga Community, a nonprofit in the St. Croix Valley of Wisconsin and Minnesota, whose mission is to reach people who may have limited access to commercial yoga studios due to financial and or geographic restraints. If you'd like to donate any amount to our organization, please click on the link in the description below to do so.